Hey students, welcome to week 8 of Accounting Principles. Yay, we made it. I hope and pray your week is going well. Are you feeling broken today? Some days, maybe not today. But if you ever doubt that Christ lives, just look around at his creation. I think the song for our devotional this week is going to help you. It helps me remember who my Redeemer is. All right, let's talk this week about what's coming up, our last week. We're in chapter 7. We're learning about the relationship between accrual accounting and the valuation of inventory. We talked a little bit about inventory last week when we talked about merchandising companies. This week, we're explaining the concepts underlying inventory accounting. We're looking at the effects of inventory and the costing methods on income determination and income taxes. Don't worry, we're not going to be calculating any taxes this week. But we're also going to be demonstrating the effects of inventory misstatements, the misstatements of inventory on different income measurements. Let's remind ourselves what inventory is. Inventory is considered a current asset because a company normally sells it within a year or so inside of its operating cycle. So if you make it, say, in June, it's expected that you would sell it sometime by the following May. Remember, inventory on the shelf is like having cash bills on the shelf. If you can sell that inventory, you have cash for your business. So for merchandising businesses, inventory consists of goods that were purchased and held for sale. Now in a manufacturing business, there are 3 different kinds of inventory. Like I've got shown here, there's raw, work in progress, and finished goods. All right? And the finished goods are the ones sitting on the floor ready to be sold. Now, the primary objective of inventory accounting is to correctly account for its purchase, tracking, and sale within an accrual accounting system. With inventory, we have to recognize that the date of purchase and date of sale is likely different. So accrual accounting helps us figure that out. It's the best way for us to track cost and value. Now, there are a number of different ways to put a value to a business's inventory. Here are a number of methods used by Fortune 500 companies. First in, first out, last in, first out, average cost, and then there's some other methods as well. Be sure to study these in Chapter 7. It's important to know how a business assigns its values and how it tracks them. Be sure to study these different methods in Chapter 7. It speaks to ethics. It's important to know how a business assigns value to its inventory so net margins, taxes, and assets can be calculated correctly and fairly. All right, one of the major factors in calculating the cost of inventory is the quantity or the level of inventory. You know, how many units of inventory are actually on the shelf. And inventory levels are often caught in between 2 competing goals. On the one hand, you want a lot of inventory of various types to handle customer demand. I'd say salespeople are probably pushing that sort of a goal. But on the other hand, you want the least amount of inventory as you can get away with so you can maximize profits. And that's more towards, people who operate the business would probably want less inventory. Well, welcome to management. This is what managers get to decide how to do. Be sure about how to evaluate inventory. We're going to be looking at inventory turns and days on hand as we look at those different measurements. And finally, be sure to know the impact of misrepresenting inventory at the end of an accounting cycle. As this chart shows, you don't just misrepresent 1 year, but 2 when things happen. Taxes and profits are incorrect over 2 different periods, not just the one. Make sure you read about that in Chapter 7. All right, that's it for right now. Happy last week. Be sure to complete these final assignments up here as a reminder. And as always, as I remind you, remember that God is on his throne. He's always been there, and he's always going to be.